Hi, this is Jesse, and this is part 3 of Eat, Think, Move. In the first video, I talked about why I place so much importance on the food that we eat, the role it plays in our energy, our well-being, our health. I talked about why I believe it's an opportunity to connect with ourselves, with others, and the planet. And in the second video, I talked about thought patterns. That is, what are the things that we think about on a regular basis, and how do our thoughts contribute to our well-being? And do they move us towards our goals, or do they stand in the way? Do they make us feel empowered, or do they make us feel less than we really are? In this video, I want to talk about movement and why I believe movement is so important for the mind and the body. Besides the fact that there are numerous scientific studies that show that exercise increases mood and increases overall well-being, I believe that when we move our bodies, we're creating a connection between the mind and the body. We're exploring what it feels like to move in this body that we have for this limited amount of time while we're on this planet. And if you've noticed how there's certain movements, when you're doing them, you kind of lose track of time and you become more present in what's going on in the current moment. I know that when I've lifted weights, I can sense the floor beneath the soles of my feet as I'm going down into a squat position and then pressing back up. I'm aware of my body, I'm aware of my muscles working really hard. And also when I'm practicing yoga, I can feel the length through my spine. I can notice my breath more than I would if I wasn't moving. And every time I'm finished with some form of physical activity, I feel more connected to myself. Now, our bodies are biological machines. They're designed to function optimally the more we use them. When we build strength and when we increase flexibility within our bodies, life becomes more enjoyable. Think about just getting out of a car and how much easier that is when we have the strength in our legs and we have the strength in our low back to get in and out. Lots of times, I don't think that people really appreciate the strength and flexibility they have when they're younger, and as they get older, some things become more of a priority. But as we age, more and more, we tend to do things less often that we enjoy because it requires strength, it requires mobility. So I believe that having a regular form of movement in our lives is so important, so we can not only have quality of life in the present moment, but we can build that foundation of strength and flexibility that we can carry through our entire lives. Now, if you think about movement and what that actually means, there's so many different forms of movement. And lots of times, exercise is this word that some people cringe when they hear because it sounds like work. Well, I'm more focused on having movement in my life, not necessarily exercise. Getting the body to move around and just so we can explore what it feels like to be in our body. I typically like to lift weights or do yoga or do dance, and I found that that's the type of movement that makes me happy. The type of movement that is going to contribute the most to your life is the type of movement that makes you feel happy. It lights you up inside. You look forward to it. And I also encourage people to experience different modalities. Go to a class that you're not familiar with just for the sake of seeing what it's like. What's the experience of being in there? And one thing that I like to really point out is that not all instructors are the same. Not all fitness classes are the same. And if you're going to go to a yoga class and you find out that you didn't really like it, there could be another instructor that you really resonate with and creates a much more impactful experience on you. This is the same with dance. You might not be into ballroom dance, but you might really enjoy swing dancing. And putting ourselves in a place where we're willing to go experience different types of movement is going to increase the chances that we find the type of movement that really lights us up inside. And I found that the more we connect with our physical body, the more we have an awareness of ourself in general. If you think about just being in public, how do you hold yourself? You might not be aware that you're fidgeting or you cross your arms, but the more we move our body, whether it's in an exercise class or a dance class, the more we start to notice what's going on in our body. Then we can start being more aware of our posture and staying nice and tall in our spine, which is going to make way more likely that at the end of the day, we're not sore. Typically, people aren't aware of their posture, and what can happen is they start to get this anterior tilt with their head, and that can create tension in the shoulders, and that's going to create tension in the low back. So when we can find that length through the body as a result of doing more and more physical activity in our life, then the more comfortable we're going to be. Posture is something that is very, very, very important to look at. And in personal training and massage therapy, it's something that we assess because our posture is our physical representation of how we're feeling. And you can actually suddenly become more confident if you take on a strong, supportive posture. If you create length through your spine and you roll your shoulders back and you have your ears above your shoulders, your hips above your knees, you're going to feel much more stability in your body than if someone was rounded through the back and kind of hunched over and walking around like this. And lots of times when I've worked with people, you can identify that they're holding certain patterns in their body. Sometimes people have closed off postures because they're protecting themselves from something that has closed them off that happened in their past. So posture is one of these things that I typically always want people to assess or reference. I like to look in the mirror every morning and notice if I'm standing nice and tall and approaching each day with length in my body with an open heart. And the more we move our body, the more aware we become of our posture because everything physical is going to require some sort of awareness. And we can improve our posture so every day we're moving in a way that is supportive to having an open heart, to feeling strong in our body. Now, when we look at goals or our vision to whatever it is we want to accomplish in our life, there's a series of steps it takes to get there. We move in a direction to that potential that's within us. And I like to compare movement in the physical to movement in the mind as well. If there's something that we really, really want, sometimes all it takes is to begin to identify what are the steps to get there. How can I move closer towards being where I want to be? If my goal is to be a dancer that has no inhibitions and can go into public, even in the grocery store, and just start dancing with full confidence that it's okay to move my body even if people are watching. If I want to be able to get to that place, I have to identify how it is that I can get there. And for me, it took a long time, and it's still difficult at times to just start dancing in public, even though I love doing it so much. And I need to continue to remind myself that, and this is with everything, we're here for a limited amount of time, and we're here once in this lifetime, and well, in this body, in this mind, we might as well do what feels good. Why hold back from doing the things that we enjoy? We only have this time to be here, so let's make it count. Let's do whatever feels good and let people think what they want to think. And as I'm saying this, I'm reminding myself, yeah, if you're in the grocery store and you hear a song that comes on, go for it. Dance. Be in that moment. Enjoy that moment. It doesn't matter what other people think. Because what matters is if we listen to what's going on inside and express that to the world. And what I found is the more we express who we are on an authentic level, the more people appreciate that. People actually love seeing real people tapping into their passions. And physical activity is a great way to just bring us out of that space in our head. Anytime we can step out of the mind and into the body, it's taking us away from all those internal thoughts that are constantly running. There are so many studies that show physical activity improves well-being. And I believe that while we're here on this planet and while we have this body, why not experience optimal well-being? Why not have an abundance of strength, an abundance of flexibility, clarity in the mind, and joy in the heart? That just makes sense to me. And I found that the three things that we can do to make that happen: be conscious of our food. Recognize that food plays a very, very important role in our mood, in our energy, and how well the body functions internally. Physical activity significantly improves our well-being. It makes us more connected to our body. It makes us feel stronger. And the thoughts that we think, the more we think about positive things and the more we think about our goals and how we can get there, and the more we think about what's important to us, the more we're fulfilled, because all that stuff that doesn't matter about who's better or what we don't have that doesn't matter, and that's not what's going on right now in this present moment. What's going on in this present moment is we have a body, we have a mind, and we want to connect the two. And I found that thinking with an open mind and lots of awareness about the actions that we take to move us towards what we want, and eating certain foods that promote optimal well-being and moving our body is the key to lining up the mind, the body, and the spirit. And if you think about those three words, mind, body, spirit, we hear that often. I associate the mind with thinking. That's what the mind does, is it's constantly thinking thoughts. The body, of course, is movement. The more we tap into movement, the more we tap into our body. And I believe food is a doorway to the spirit, because food is literally what's keeping us alive every single day. If all of a sudden we did not have access to food anymore, we would slowly die. So the mind, the body, and the spirit is also just eat, think, move, and lining those three things up. Eating in a way and thinking in a way and moving in a way that promotes your fullest potential, that brings you to the place of optimum health, so you can fully experience what's available to you in any given moment. Now, the more we become aware of all three of these things, the easier it is to make changes in all areas of our life. You'll notice that when you start to develop discipline within the food that you eat, it's a lot easier to create discipline with your physical activity, because you're building awareness and you're building discipline. Discipline is also like a muscle. The more disciplined you become at something, the easier it is to transfer that into other areas of your life. The more conscious you become about your thoughts, the more conscious you become about what you're eating or what you say to people. And the more conscious and aware we become as individuals, the more of an impact we can make on other people in our lives. And the more we can actually truly grow, because we're always aware of where we're at and where we want to be. And self-development begins with self-awareness, looking at what we want to change in our life, acknowledging if we're not doing something that's actually bringing us towards our fullest potential. So as we continue going through this journey, these videos that I want to share with you, I'm going to give you more insight and ideas of how to prepare healthy meals, giving you the recipes that actually are healthy and taste really good, and more insight into the type of activity that's going to bring you closer to whatever your physical goals are. If you just want to be a better dancer, maybe all you need is more flexibility so you have more mobility in your joints. If you want to be stronger, what are the types of exercises that are going to promote the most growth in your muscles? And then continuing to give you new ways at looking at things. So each day you're waking up with positive thought, you're inspired by what's ahead of you, and knowing that whatever you'd like to do is possible. Thank you so much for watching this video. If I've inspired you or you have a question, please like the video, please comment, stay connected, and until next time.
Oh man, take a look at my life. I'm alive.